Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavatveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna, the ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. So today we take up the reading of 22nd Shloka of the 6th Adhyaya Dhyana Yoga, the Yoga of Meditation of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The last verse that we read, 21st verse, where Sri Krishna taught us and vehemently in fact told us that Sukham Atyantikam Yattat Buddhigrayam Atindriyam, that when he feels, when the devotee, when the spiritual aspirant feels that supreme bliss, which is perceived by intelligence, Buddhigrayam Atindriyam, and which is beyond the comprehension of the senses, that bliss, that ultimate sukham atyantikam, that sukha is beyond the grasp of senses and which can only be perceived, which can only be acknowledged by the intelligence, by the buddhi, by the intellect. Veti yatra nachayvayam, veti yatra nachayvayam means which cannot be wherein established he moves from the reality. Once having got that, having experienced that state of bliss, he never wants to move away from that reality. That is the ultimate in the act of meditation. That bliss, that paramashanti, that sukham atyantikam, once the spiritual aspirant experiences that, once he feels that supreme bliss, he doesn't want to get away from that place. Once established in that state, that is the ultimate. And in continuation with that 21st verse, Sri Krishna is now telling us in this 22nd verse, Yam labdhvā chāparaṁ lābhaṁ manyate nādhikaṁ tataḥ yasmin sthito duḥkhena guruṇāpi vichālyate. Yam labdhvā, having got that, having obtained that bliss, sukham atyantikam, that Sri Krishna told us in 21st verse. Having labdhvā, yam labdhvā, having got, having obtained that ultimate bliss, chāparaṁ lābhaṁ manyate nādhikaṁ tataḥ. Aparam is other. Lābhaṁ, gain. Manyate tataḥ, that is, having gained that, supreme bliss, which he thinks that there is no greater than that. Nādhikaṁ tataḥ, what he got earlier, what he got in that state of super bliss, having obtained that, having experienced that, the yogi, the spiritual aspirant, he starts realizing that there is nothing above this. Na manyate, na adhikam tataḥ. There is nothing more than this. This is the ultimate. Yasmin sthito na duḥkhena guruṇāpi vichālyate. Yasmin, in which, sthitah, established, having established in that supreme bliss, having established in that sukham atyantikam, then na duḥkhena, he does not feel any grief, he does not feel any sorrow. Guruṇāpi vichālyate, and he is not even moved by heaviest of the onslaughts of sorrow or misery or grief or conflicts. He is not moved at all. Na vichālyate. Having gained which, he thinks that there is no greater gain than that. Wherein established, he is not shaken even by the heaviest afflictions. That is the supreme state of bliss the spiritual aspirant starts experiencing. He gets into that state where he finds there is no better pleasure, no better bliss, no better anandam than this. This is the ultimate anandam. This is the absolute bliss. That anandam of the Satchidananda. There is no more happiness than this. And he gets so much established in it that the heaviest, the mightiest of miseries cannot shake him. For him, there is no dukkha at all. He is beyond the state of sukha and dukkha. He is beyond the state of pleasure and pain. He is beyond the state of those opposites of the dualities. The fleeting earthly pleasures are all ever selective. These are all fleeting. What we think of experiencing some kind of joy or pleasure or happiness from the perishable things, from the things which are not going to last forever, that are just passing things. From those material things, if we ever try to expect any kind of happiness, that doesn't remain for long. Immediately after having that happiness, the unhappiness grasps us once again. Having enjoyed that pleasure, the pain again grasps us. Having enjoyed the joy, the sorrow again chases us. So this is what happens with the fleeting things of this worldly life. Now what he has experienced in that state of samadhi, in that state of meditation, in that state of dhyana, where the mind and the senses under control, where the mind is one-pointed, senses under control, he is thinking, he has focused his entire attention on the one dwelling in him. The little self is in awe of the supreme self, which he is very much part of, And the moment that realization dawns, that I'm just a tiny speck of that Paramatman, this Jivatman is just a part of that Paramatman, very much a part and parcel of that Satchidananda, the kind of bliss that Atman enjoys. That is Sukham Atyantikam. And there is no place for any kind of misery. There is no place for any kind of pain. There is no place for any kind of sorrow in that realm of absolute bliss. And then there is nothing, no bliss beyond that. That is the end point. But getting into infinite beatitude of the self, the yogi has nothing else to seek. The yogi established in the bliss of Brahman has no body consciousness. He is beyond the body, he is beyond the senses. The body hangs on him just as a shadow hangs on to a body. For the yogi. For the yogi in that state, body is just like when we walk around in sunlight, the shadow follows us. Now, suppose something happens to our shadow, does this body get afflicted? If we are walking and a motorist or a scooterist or a biker, he rides on our shadow. Are we affected? No way. I mean, the body? No way. In the same way, the yogi thinks, this body is just a shadow of the Atman residing inside, which is a part and parcel of the Paramatman. Anything happening to the body, it will happen to the body, fine. Atman remains untouched. There is no grief, there is no sorrow, there is no pain for the Atman. And having realized that bliss of oneness with the Paramatman, with the higher self, there is no more joy also. That is the ultimate state of bliss that Sri Krishna is telling in the 21st and this 22nd shloka. Any harm done to the shadow does not hurt the body, and harm inflicted on the body does not afflict the yogi established in the self. The same example is further elaborated that if the shadow is hurt in any manner, the body has got no effect on it. In the same way, if the body is hurt, if the body is grieved, for the yogi established in that state of meditation, the Atman is always remains unaffected. So that is Sri Krishna's teaching in this 22nd shloka of having obtained that ultimate bliss. A yogi doesn't feel there is anything higher than that. And having obtained that, for yogi there is no dukkha also. The heaviest of the miseries, heaviest of the sorrows, even if they come in front of the yogi, as a person has to undergo, he is not afflicted by them. He is not affected by them. For them, they are nothing. He has enjoyed such a beautiful bliss. He is in that state. Like a third person, he will just look at those joys and sorrows in his life as we observe these things happening to a person who is not connected with us. A third person whom we don't know, if he is having good fun, we are not affected by it. If the third person is having the sorrowest of the situations, we are not affected by it, isn't it? I mean, okay, fine, that is his life, we say. That is his karma, that is what we say. We are no way bothered by the happiness and miseries in a third unknown person's life. In the same way, for the yogi, anything happening to the body is happening to the body, so what? The Atman, the bliss that he has enjoyed, the bliss that the yogi has enjoyed. Now, Sri Ramakrishna's teaching on this is saying on this, whatever may be the suffering that falls to the lot of the body, the power and glory of devotion and knowledge of a true devotee do not in the least get diminished thereby. Physically, a person may be suffering, but although A person who has reached that state of devotion, that state of knowledge, for him, for her, for that person, this afflictions, this suffering is nothing at all. The power and glory of devotion and knowledge of a true devotee do not in the least get diminished thereby. How much sorrow, how much misery a person may experience, the knowledge and the devotion that that person has for the holy feet of the Lord, for the holy feet of the Mother, it can never go down. It can never get diminished. What all tribulations the Pandava brothers had to undergo during their exile. Pandava was the closest to Sri Krishna, to Arjuna and his 4 brothers and his mother and their wife Draupadi. How much tough situations they underwent when they were in exile, all throughout life. But their devotion to, their friendship to, their love and affection for Krishna, they never said, oh, Krishna being my friend, being our brother, being our well-wisher, we are undergoing all these things, we will forget Krishna. There is no use of following Krishna for all those pleasures of the world. But no. But the exuberance of their wisdom was in no way affected, even for a moment, by all those ordeals. Although they were experiencing the kind of misery, the kind of sorrow, the kind of grief Pandavas experienced, in spite of being the best of the chums of Lord Sri Krishna, they never had any doubt on being close to Krishna. For them, Krishna was the ultimate savior. Comfort me. None of the situations affected Pandavas for that matter. It was only when their last request to the Kauravas was also thrashed down by Duryodhana. Their request of at least give us some place to stay where we can comfortably live. And that is when Duryodhana told, not even a piece of land which can be held on the tip of a needle, I will give it to you. And then these cousins, they had no other way than to get into this war of Mahabharata, and with Krishna on their side, Krishna on the side of the Pandavas and his entire army assisting Kauravas for that matter. Pandavas had so much faith in Krishna. They knew any amount of ill that is going to happen to us, it is Krishna who is going to save us. They had that kind of understanding, that kind of oneness with the Supreme. In fact, all throughout their life, they were in that phase of Sukham Atyantikam. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna has given example of Pandavas facing misery in spite of being so close to Sri Krishna. And that is what happens in the life of a yogi. For that yogi, the ordinary pleasures and pains, they are insignificant. The bliss that a yogi perceives, experiences with the oneness of the ultimate truth, that bliss is far superior to the pettier worldly pleasures. Once gained that bliss, that ultimate bliss, that absolute bliss, no amount of sorrows, no amount of griefs, no amount of ills, no amount of any negatives are ever going to bother that yogi. He is beyond that. He has crossed over the limit of these pairs of opposites. So that is what a person who is getting into this state of meditation can expect to become, as told by Sri Krishna in this 21st and 22nd shloka. So that is our reading from the Dhyana Yoga for today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ram Krishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.